Greetings, Aquarius. This is Tarot Lumination. It is your mini generic love and relationship report for May 2019. Welcome. Thank you for choosing Tarot Lumination. And let's get into it. We're going to use the Crucible spread. It's a Tarot Lumination custom spread specifically for a relationship. And it's on the understanding that there's you, Aquarius, there's a significant other, and there is a third entity which exists that you guys own called the relationship. Okay? Also, singles, if you want to, you can watch this, but you need to allow very specifically for the laws of attraction. In other words, you're radiating energy all the time, including love and relationship. So what could you be attracting back to you? Like, what if? Let's say there's someone out there, or you've got your eye on someone, or someone's got their eye on you, but it's very nebulous at that time, okay? Or you're completely single and you're wondering what the bleep is going on. Before we get into it, I want to do a quick look at the Tarot Lumination Astrodoodles. Okay, this is just generic stuff. I'm going to spell it out and then we'll see how it affects you personally. It's going to be very quick and fast and furious because I want to get on with the reading. All month, Jupiter, Saturn, and Pluto are retrograde. That's heavy-duty retrograde energy. So wherever that lands in your chart, there's going to be a lot of pressure to slow down, fix, repair, rewind, adjust, examine what's not working. And you will have that opportunity. May 4th, Taurus new moon. Okay, that's in your foundations, the 4th house. All month, Mercury is zooming along through Aries, Taurus, and Gemini. May 15th, Venus moves from Aries to Taurus, and then Mars is roughly at the same time moving from Gemini to Cancer. These are the personal planets. May 18th, full moon, Taurus, Sun, opposed by the Scorpio moon, up there in your destiny sector. May 21st, the Sun moves into Gemini, which might bring you some light relief. All month long, the heavy, really heavy pressure is from Pluto and Saturn in Capricorn, retrograde around 22 degrees. So wherever that point lies, there's a lot of heavy pressure there that it could be very deep, and it makes it really hard to discern sometimes, because it's so deep. Like, what's going on? Let's just go straight to it. Okay, here you go. This is what it looks like. This is a very simplified chart for the month, and it doesn't make full sense to a professional astrologer, but it's good enough for here for now to keep us going. This is the really heavy one I'm talking about, but it's in the 12th house, so it could be very difficult to understand. My feeling is that it's about deep level soul convulsions about what am I doing wrong and how I'm hurting myself. What's going on in my world of self-sabotage? It's so hard to define, so hard to understand it. Like deeply, deeply buried issues, matters that have been buried away for years, even lifetimes, where ultimately Pluto and Saturn are saying, it's time to deal with this stuff. There's going to be unrelenting pressure to deal with all the stuff that's buried that needs revealing for healing, okay? The things that concern me are the full moon and the new moon on this sort of loose axis here, which is squaring you. It's like a loose T-square over here. May 4th, okay? The new moon right here at the foundations of your chart. New starts and new beginnings over there. Now, it's not about love or relationship, but a lot of our relationship dynamics occur in what we can call a home environment, okay? Then 2 weeks later, on the 18th, we have the full moon still over here. So we've got the Scorpio moon opposing the Sun in Taurus over here, still in your 4th house of home and family. So you might come to an awakening, like what's happening at home? How's that affecting my destiny, my career? What's happening in my career? Oh no, oh no, oh no. How's it impacting my home life? And then you feel it over here as stressors, okay? And where it would be maximized is over here around May 10th for a couple of days while the moon is transiting through Leo. So please pay attention around that date if you're feeling super stressed out, all right, Aquarius? You can blame it on the planets. Of course, you don't want to use that as an excuse not to have to do anything. All I'm suggesting is please see this as an opportunity to learn and grow and evolve and adapt, okay? Let's get on with the cards, people. So, excuse me. I need actually a little sip of water. thirsty work. Now the cards were already shuffled well in advance. Shuffled well in advance. Got it? Did you get that one? I like to go to the last second so that you're a witness. No jumpers, no flyers. Going to keep it really simple. We're going to use that crucible spread. I think I mentioned that. And you'll see how it looks like in just a moment. I need a little bit more, excuse me. And then I'm going to pull a little oracle at the end for a treat, okay? All right, here we go. This is good. So gather your invisible friends, dear Aquarius. Let's make the most of this, okay? They're here to help you, and they love to be invited as opposed to being taken for granted or being ignored. Over here, what are you radiating? Think of yourself like a smartphone, okay? Always transmitting and receiving energy. What are they radiating over here? What's happening deep inside of you? What's happening deep inside of the other? And then there to the core of the relationship itself. This is its own thing. You know, people can recognize it like, oh, they have a sucky relationship. Oh, like, oh, I'm so jealous. They have a beautiful relationship. You can't touch it, but it has energy. It's identifiable. Like you can't touch a marriage, but it is a structure. Okay. Over here, what is fermenting here? What is blossoming? What is growing here? Over here, we're going to look at the weather, circumstantial energy. You could think of it as the planets, your environment, your world, your situation, whatever you want, okay? So we're starting with the Five of Pentacles. So if you're feeling the pressure already building up, perhaps that would make sense, especially around the May 10th, where things might come into stark awareness, like the when I see Pentacles in a love reading like this, it's evidence that there is lack, that there is something lacking, like there is a depletion. Like if you feel depleted, either in yourself or in the relationship or with the other. In other words, like perhaps you've been feeling let down. Perhaps you have let down the other. Perhaps the relationship is showing signs of being very fragile and crumbling under the pressure, okay? Some people do that. A lot of people will live in a so-called relationship and they put tremendous pressure on the crucible. The crucible is a structure that's designed to withstand intense pressures. But sometimes if the crucible, if you're not aware of it and it's not structured properly and it's loose and wobbly or leaky, or if it's inflexible, for Aquarius, it might be a challenge because just look, you know, we just talked about this. Okay, with this, and this, that's a lot of pressure, okay, on all Aquarians. Loose, I'm not saying this is exact, okay, but just from the energy, from the signs, the Scorpio, Taurus dynamic, Leo dynamic over here, you know, this is just a couple of days. This is just a couple of days. But the build up to those days and then the culmination, that could feel like a lot of pressure. And you might be noticing everything and anything that's not working. You might notice everything that is fragile and falling apart and undernourished. You might have neglected yourself. You might have neglected the other. You might have neglected the relationship. People in a very healthy relationship, they do everything through the relationship. They nurture the relationship. What is the relationship telling us that we need to do? And then they do that, and that feeds them. Feeds them. Not everybody works that way. A lot of people just assume as soon as you own one of these, then you are free to just do this all day, every day, and everything will just be fine because you signed a contract. It doesn't quite work. Anyway, let's have a look. What are you radiating here with the Six of Cups? So my feeling is that like you're deep in it. I feel like you're really deep in it with the, I'm going to go over back to here again. Oh my gosh. Like the soulmate energy over here at the deep, deep, deep soul level, trying to figure out what's going on in life and love and relationship at a very profound level. And the only way you can understand it is treat it as a soulmate relationship. So it looks to me like you're coming at things from the perspective of soulmate relationship dynamics. Also, with Jupiter in Sagittarius retrograde in the 11th house, That's your normal domain. So again, you might be feeling pressure like to re-examine like your natural Aquarian element, energy. Aquarius rules the 11th house here, ruled by Uranus, the planet of change, radical shifts, of freedom. And you might be feeling it. In other words, the deprivation, the lack, everything and anything that is not working in the context of a soulmate relationship. I don't think there's any ill intent here. I don't think you have any malice towards the other. I don't think the other has any malice towards you. It's just that what we're dealing with is really deeply buried, deeply hidden, very hard to understand, even put language on it about what's not working. Very, very hard. Like some people don't even want to talk about it. They become so muted, they can't stand the pressure of things that don't work in relationship, so they cover it up with like theater. People get into, they play roles. They do anything they can to avoid dealing with the stuff that needs revealing for the healing. They just want the good stuff. People just want the good stuff out of relationships. They don't want all the hard work and the challenges, obligations, and responsibilities. But it doesn't look like there's any way out here, okay? Aquarius, we're dealing with it. What's the other radiating, okay? King of Swords. To me, this looks like a little bit of defiance is going on here, which it could almost confound you to the point where you're, as an Aquarius, like you're already doing your best. You're coming from a loving perspective. You only want what works, okay? I'm saying that it's not like you're just trying to get what works out of them or out of the relationship, like you're trying to exploit everything. What I'm trying to say is you only want that which works. In other words, you want this to work, okay? And from their position, my feeling is that if there's any sense of lack or deprivation or losses or separations that's happening in a relationship, as far as they're concerned, it's not their fault, okay? It's almost like, how dare you? How dare you? I am radiating King of Swords energy. I am right. I've worked very, very hard to be who I am, where I am, how I am now. And please do not think that whatever is not working for you, Aquarius, is my fault, okay? It's almost like he's daring you to challenge him. Okay, I'm not saying, actually forget the gender. Don't even think about the gender. Just think about the energy, okay? The other part of it, my feeling is, with this energy, they could be also saying like, you know what? We need help. We need professional advice from someone who actually can help this situation. I may be willing to get advice and help. I might have to do that. It's like the worst thing anyone could ever imagine. It's like, because when people go get therapy, when they get tarot readings, when they get help, they get astrologers and they go to psychologists and they take medications because their love life and their relationships suck, then that's tantamount to admitting failure. And a lot of people don't want to do that. They don't want to admit or deal with the fact that they've got problems in relationship. They'd much rather just like medicate them away. Let's drink. Let's smoke. Let's take lots of drugs or coffee, or let's do things that are exciting, or let's have affairs, or let's do anything except actually the work that needs to be done. Okay? Deep down inside of you. Okay, the Five of Cups here. There's obviously something really wrong, Aquarius. Now, only you can answer that, and the chances are what is really wrong is buried very deep. Again, almost no language over here, okay? Deep in the dumpster of your life and your world. And it's being brought to attention by these momentary, but very challenging energies here, especially around May the 10th, because when you combine the three of these, Scorpio, Taurus, Leo, it's like almost having a grand cross working against you. So please take that as a message, as a gift. It's time to deal with this really challenging stuff, okay? And so, as uncomfortable as it might be, and so deep down, To me, it looks like there's a realization that there's some kind of grief, some kind of loss, perhaps loss of love, loss of the relationship, loss of love of self, loss of love from another. In other words, maybe the relationship is still functional, but there's no love. It might be all mechanical or an intellectual exercise or a huge project, but where's the love? Okay, a lot of relationships function without much love. They function on like passion or lust or abuse or codependence or family pressures or conditioning or just living like robots because your hormones drove you to do this and you don't know what else to do. And then eventually over time, you start to wonder what's wrong, what's missing. And it's the love that's missing here. And I think deep down, you're becoming really starkly aware of it. Okay? Love still exists. It's out there. We're always swimming in love, surrounded by it. And the question is, are we aware? I've said this a few times, like here's the scuba diver, swimming around, and he bumps into a beautiful coral reef, and there's a little fish that comes up to him and says, "Hey, you're a scuba diver, right?" And the scuba diver says, "Yeah, yeah, and you're a fish. Yeah, I'm here chilling out, looking around. You're cool. Do you mind if I ask you? I have a question. I'm a fish, but can you tell me what's this thing called water? I've been dying to know." And the scuba diver goes, "Well, what? You're swimming in it. You're surrounded by it all day, every day." "What? What do you mean? Look around you. You're swimming in water." Really? Why didn't anybody tell me? What is it? Oh no. And then can you see how exasperating that would be? So when you're aware of the love, when you're aware that love is real, love is potential, that they're like the components are there, the energy's there, but it's not happening, then you know you have a real problem. Okay? So what do? You have to invoke the healing power of love. We ask for the healing power of love to fill our relationship from up above. Okay? You have to do that. We can get a lot more complicated here too if you want to, by the way. Okay, Aquarius, it's just a generic reading. Okay, what about the other? Okay, to me it looks like with this Eight of Swords here, they're doing a really good song and dance about skirting around the issues so that they can't take any blame for any kind of slightest thing that is wrong with the relationship. Okay? But in fact, what's happening is that there's a part of them which is trying to figure things out for themselves because they don't really know what's wrong. I think with this energy over here about the Five of Pentacles, there's obviously something lacking. And as far as they're concerned, it's not their fault. It's nothing to do with them. But deep down, they do know they have issues. But I don't think they're consciously aware of it. I think they're surrounded by all their own issues that have not been resolved, that have not been healed. And it's almost like they're getting projected onto you as though everything and anything that's wrong with the relationship is your fault. It's like whatever goes wrong, it's always your fault. And you can only go so far in a relationship with that kind of posture and behavior. And it looks to me like they're stuck, like in a negative feedback loop. They can't get out of it because this is how they've been trained themselves, how they've been conditioned. They don't know how any other way to be. And that's just how it is. And so you're left in a very difficult position. Like, if that's just how they are, well, what am I supposed to do? Where's the love? If there's no chance for love because it's not even, the doorway's not even open. You might have thought that what you had was love, but it's actually something else. Like we talked about earlier, something that happened out of hormones, something that happened out of like a sense of obligation or being pressured into it or feeling that it was the right thing at the time. But it looks seriously out of whack right now. Okay? At the core, let's have a look. Okay. Ten of Cups. To me, this is almost, it's a very beautiful card in its own way. But to me, this looks like a very clear measure and evidence what is possible. Okay? In other words, the love is potentially there. So the question is, how do we get to that? How do we fix what needs fixing? Also, with the Ten of Cups here, because it's very much energy of happy family love, or the love that can happen between a couple and home, family, and everything. I think a lot of this is being lit up by the Taurus new moon, okay? Over here, right over here, okay? The foundations, the home and family, the fourth house. Like you might, just imagine you're like one of those people and you've got a beautiful home. You have a life and everything. And you want that and you deserve that. And you started off with that. But where did the love go? And so this to me looks like it has a big question mark all over it. This is real. This exists. You might have tasted this. You might have had a glimpse of this. You might have wished for it. You might have set off on your intentions to have this, but it's not happening right now. The nature of the relationship, it might be that there is enough love there at the very core. Like it might actually be there, but I think it's highly fractured at the moment. And so what do you do about it? Okay? What is actually growing out of this thing? If you do, from another perspective, Aquarius, if you do have someone who is standing by you as a protector, as a defender, and the storyline is completely different, and they are confounded about how complicated it is to protect you and defend you in the relationship in order to maintain happiness and home and family, then I guess that would require thanks and gratitude. I'm adding that in almost like as an insurance policy for the reading because I don't personally feel it, but I feel obliged to look at the cards like with a big question mark right now. What is fermenting here? You see, Ten of Swords. Okay, so there's a lot of pain here. I think what's happening, it's very simple. You've got to reveal it to heal it, and that's what's happening right now. A very slow, painful, awkward moment in time where you are revealing it to heal it. What needs healing is being revealed, okay? I think that is very, very much to do with the 12th house over here, the Capricorn energy. And you realize that you can't take it anymore, and eventually the whole spirit buckles, the body buckles, your enthusiasm, your optimism, your sense of love buckles, and it isn't just a deep feeling anymore. It's a fact. In other words, the happy home, the happy family is fractured and broken, perhaps beyond repair. So that leaves the relationship in almost like a state of destitution. So what do you do now? Okay, I'm not a fortune teller. We can follow up from it, in other words, in private if you want to, but that's a whole other thing. I'm just calling it out right now as I see it and feel it here. So I don't want to get too dark and bleak. I'm going to move straight on. I'm going to pull out a little oracle here. It's the Romance Angels deck. I love this deck. I know some people think it's very cheesy, but I actually like it. I don't use any of her other decks, but I do love this one. I'm going to shuffle these over to give you a little bit more room, Aquarius. It's not all doom and gloom. Remember, Aquarius, this too shall pass. Okay, it just happens that the Taurus season can be challenging for you anyway, every year. So it's not like some of this was unexpected. You might not want to hear any of this. You might think this reading seriously sucks. But I just call it out how it is. And sometimes it's really hard to deliver these readings, deliver these messages. Let's have a look. These cards are well shuffled in advance, but I go to the last second so that you're a witness. At least with Tarot Lumination, you're with good people. We have a lot of good people on this channel, okay? A lot of healers come here. A lot of healers come here for healing. A lot of healers come here to hang out in a sense of community, okay? All right, let's just pull the top card. I'm not going to read from the book. I'm just going to give you a glimpse, and then you can interpret it yourself, okay? Codependency. Okay. Addictions are affecting your romantic life. Now, how do you define addictions? Well, there's the obvious ones: narcotics, alcohol, amphetamines, extreme caffeine, energy drinks, uh, medical marijuana, addictions to, let's say, having to have someone there all the time, addictions to having to have things exactly the way you think they should be when they're not, addictions to the other party where, like, you know there's something toxic going on, but you're too scared to let it go because you have never figured out how to heal yourself or function outside of the walls of codependency here. Okay? So they might be very codependent on you. It's hard to tell looking which side it is, but if the codependency issue is coming up here, and if it's you, Aquarius, and you're highly dependent on a very firm, assertive kind of significant other, that's a form of codependency. If it's the other way around, where you're with someone particular who's highly codependent on you, either way, it's codependent. So it says addictions are affecting your romantic life. I'm not going to dwell on this. You can interpret it however you want, okay? And codependency is very different from love. It can be a very strong and powerful bond, but often it's very unhealthy for one or other or both parties. And sometimes it's not too evident in the relationship. Some people are really good at hiding codependent relationships and making everything look awesome to the rest of the world as though there's nothing wrong. So please understand that. Think of this from the broad perspective, okay, Aquarius? I wish you all the best. Thank you for the subscribes, likes, comments, and all of that stuff. Consider membership. Check the links below. Thank you.